Hi, everyone. Wendy here from the Indigo Doors. I am explaining another one of my paintings. I feel the need to explain my paintings because I get so much information while I'm painting them about like what's happening on the planet, what's coming in, um, and I'm kind of guided on what to paint and what to draw in accordance to that because partly I want that. That's my intention, to bring in new information. And not everybody translates information the same way, right? Like the paintings are almost like how my brain is built, right? So I feel like an explanation is needed, to really feel the full scope. So if you're drawn to this painting, I hope that you found this video. So if even if you clicked on it on accident, there's something in this painting for you. They're energetic experiences. It's really kind of taking painting to the next level, I feel, kind of expanding beyond where the painter and the artist truly becomes like a conduit for the unknown or the unseeable. I practice that. Obviously, I am a healer and I've practiced shamanism, and or I am a shaman. When you remember most of your lives, it's hard to speak as if you're not those things anymore, but because I am those things. So this painting is about this great shift that's happening on the planet. It's the great shift. It's basically this planet shifting gears, from being almost a three-dimensional expression to a fifth-dimensional expression. But that is so much, those are just words, right? It's about being able to experience more of who we are, the truth of who we truly are. There's my cat. He loves the corner of that, I guess. Anyways, that's Phoenix. So let me see what he's doing. Hey, what are you doing? You want to be a part of it? Come on. I guess he wants to be a part of it. So let me show you the painting. I'm going to share the screen here. So here we have this painting called The Great Shift. And you have a being obviously in the center, and you have a female and then a male on the other side. Obviously, this huge wave. Um, and then you actually have some sacred geometry behind the wave. It's actually um, the structure of this wave itself. And when I say the wave is embodying the energy of all of this change to the capacity in which I can comprehend it, right? Um, Obviously, I'm limited by language, and some things are, when you're trying to talk about something that's more experiential and multidimensional, and I'm using words, which is just kind of a one-dimensional thing. I mean, you can feel some of it as you're sitting here with me. And so I do invite you to kind of just expand and settle in to your being and really listen with your heart here, because even as I'm transmitting this information, I'm connecting and I'm channeling as I'm explaining this. So you'll be able to get your own information, because truly this painting, and as all my paintings are meant to kind of expand the viewer, and it's supposed to interact with the viewer in a very personal way, meaning just like all art, but in this way, meaning if there's certain things that you enjoy about the painting or you don't like about the painting, that's all important, and that's informing you where you need to kind of go and look, right? It's embodying. So the sacred geometry is embodying the shift itself. It came to me in a dream, actually, and these symbols, and all of this messaging was actually put on my sister's hand. My sister being Brenda, she's the other part of the Indigo Doors. If you've never experienced her, and I say that specifically, experienced her, you need to. She's pretty amazing, meaning she's embodying the energy. Everybody has a different purpose, and mine truly is to kind of explain this process to allow other people to understand what's happening and integrate different aspects of it. But she truly embodies the energy itself. Like there's something different about her DNA. She's meant to help shift people's biology to align with this new frequency, and in this way, I feel like, it's very exciting times because we're all shifting, we're all expanding, we're all wakening up to our gifts. And this painting specifically kind of talks about that process. There are 5 circles, 5 is the number of change. And within there are actually other things behind the paint that you can't see. And maybe in a new video, I'll actually show that the symbol of the sacred geometry. It's actually also part of our quantum symbol for healing. But here we have 5 circles, and I want you to be aware of that there's 4 that are kind of not in form, and then 1 being the center of the wave itself. Really just emphasizing the need for the absence of space, this absence of something coming into um, the one here on the bottom, really emphasizing this unknown nature, how we have to really surrender and trust into the space of this unknown to allow for this to even come to fruition. And when I say this come to fruition, this is a wave, as you see here, look at the base of this wave, right? You have a diamond, right? And it's surrounded by red. Now, this is symbolic because they've been telling us that we are all shifting, but our DNA is shifting, the water is shifting. And I'm saying that because it's responding differently. Our bodies are responding quicker. The timeline is quickening, um, and our bodies are responding quicker, meaning if we could have the science match up with this kind of consciousness, we would be able to see our DNA is actually changing because we are allowed to carry more light within our bodies, like more of the I am presence. Um, like many more are open to this possibility now. And you can see the evidence of this because everyone is awakening. Everybody's getting churned up, not in a bad way, but because truly they are awakening. So when they're holding more light, what do you become aware of when you start holding more light? You start becoming more aware of the darkness within you. And I say the darkness within you, just the parts that need to be loved, right? The parts that aren't integrated, that we actually try to keep separate. So this wave and this process and what I'm talking about is embodying all of these things, learning to love ourselves in a major way, right? Learning to kind of our relationship with ascension itself is changing. It really is all about love. And learning what that means, like mentally. What does that mean, like emotionally? What does that mean, like physically? All of these parts of our beings are sacred. So it might take some time to start treating your physical body as a sacred vessel. That does mean treating it, feeding it well, right? Um, Exercising it, having a balance with exercise and rest, learning your own rhythm. And I don't just mean like learning your own rhythm, but creating a life that embodies your own rhythm. This is where we're at. This is this new wave. So that's what that looks like physically. Emotionally, that means really allowing all of your emotions that come up, allowing them to come up and out, right? So this function of this machine is huge. I mean, part of the reason why it's a wave is it's water, so it's emotional. And we're a water planet, right? So I mean, it's like tenfold. And so this emotional piece is so essential to humanity's growth, partly because we don't really understand its importance. So this emotional processing of our being, right? So we talked about treating your body like a sacred vessel with your emotional body, allowing to whatever that is arising, honoring it for it is a part of this machine of being human. And I don't mean it's just like it's like, oh, that made me angry or that made me sad or whatever. Like, oh, that's just an experience like touch is or like sight is. I can see this. Like, we're expanding. Emotions are there to show you what it is, partly right now in the process where we're at, because we're still healing this. We're still learning to integrate this part of the machine, allowing us to even have emotions without judgment, crying without judgment. Like, this is like, it's so connected to with your divinity within, or your God within, that it's so important. Watching something, seeing joy, seeing bliss, being able to cry at a sunrise or a sunset or at the birth of your child or the death of a loved one. These are, it's so close to who we are. We all yearn for those moments. We all yearn for those emotional situations because it's so close to experiencing that great I am. So part of this wave is learning to process your own emotions. Where have you stuffed it and didn't express? And I don't mean expressing words of anger. I mean just really sitting with yourself. This has nothing to do with anybody else, right? Just yourself. Are you really honoring what's coming up for you? Are you sitting with yourself and saying, wow, I'm really sad. I don't know why. Let me figure this out. Or why am I so angry? What is that really about? There is a reflective nature on, you see the center figure here, right? It's reflective. It's almost like a helmet in a way. It's everything in this painting has multiple meanings, but here in this way, it's the outside world is a reflection of your internal world always. And I'm pausing for effect because it's so important that we understand that this is an essential part of consciousness. How we see reality is a reflection of our internal worlds. I mean, we can see it in extremes, right? Like if you were abused, even with dogs, right? Like if they were abused by men or females, whatever, or somebody with a hat on, right? They're going to have a hard time dealing or seeing a person with a hat on because they've had that experience. They now view their world through this lens. But with consciousness and as a healer, we know that everything's repairable, right? Eat with reprogramming and training and healing. We are in this great awakening is about healing and loving all of these parts. So loving the parts where there was trauma, right? So dealing with your emotional self in a sacred way, seeing that all of the things that are arising are helping you, showing you the parts that need to be loved or just want to express. It's such a divine expression. It's an expression of our divinity, emotions in general. So shifting that's part of this wave. And then mentally, obviously, we have to get our minds on board, being open to the possibility, knowing even within our mind is our psychology, knowing that as a human being, we have this psychological experience, meaning we are a product of our reality growing up, and we're going to have boxes and limitations based off of those experiences. And part of this consciousness and remembering who you are is breaking those boxes. And we want everyone to break their own boxes because we're meant to be happy and live to our fullest potential. And part of that is just looking at the box. Maybe you like the box and you do have free will, right? You can choose that box, right? There's some people that will never work for themselves because they really enjoy the structure of working for a company, things that they don't have to worry about. That is a box. It is. There's no judgment. It's just that's what you prefer. And that would be great. That's great. That would be great. That is great. That's great for you, right? So in this mental piece of the sacredness is looking at our belief system and seeing if they align with our higher self, with our divine will, meaning are they limiting? Are they fear-based? Are they love-based, right? So the sacredness of the mental piece is, are our thoughts aligned with loving things? When we look out in the world, do we have judgment? Do we have limited beliefs about other people, other races, other genders? When we talk about this wave of consciousness and expanding, it is like the era of responsibility in a way, because that truly is the only way that we can actually become who we want to become with consciousness, right? Who do we want to be? Well, even if you wanted to be somebody, if you don't look at your belief systems, if you grew up with a racist background or fathers or maybe sexist parents or whatever, if you don't look at those things, those are the belief systems that is going to construct your reality. And if we're in this great awakening where we see the divine within and outward, we have to see it within. We have to break down these things. That's what this era is about. It's kind of creating, it might sound like very overwhelming and like a lot of work, but it's all about starting small and just, it's very simple actually. It's not always easy, but it's pretty simple. And it is, when in doubt, just love yourself. Love yourself. That's it. Love yourself more every day. That's what this wave is about. Now, I give you more information, because if you just did that and you focused on yourself and you just did all of those parts, you're helping the planet, period. Like you're helping the planet expand. Because as you carry more light within you and you're seeing it, because when you have it within, you're going to see it everywhere too. You're then helping bring more light to this planet. So it is creating this new awareness on the planet. So it's this diamond, right? We're talking about this diamond and how it's shifting our DNA. There's more light within us so that we can see these parts. So as these parts, these darker parts, or these parts that need to be loved, as they're arising, as they're coming up, what do you do with it? All of those things that I kind of talked about. Love yourself, truly. And if you need help in kind of working through some of that darkness, we offer classes and sessions and things, and we love helping people. So, but there's more. We're all, because they're shifting our DNA and they're shifting our water, they're actually, the pineal gland, the part of our being that it is more animalistic, that's more about the fight, flight, or freeze response, right? Where we're reacting all the time. We're meant to react, right? Reaction is what saved us in evolution, reacting. So if you reacted better than another species, you evolved, you went on, right? So reaction and being able to do that well is what the basis of our being has been. So this new paradigm, or this new shifting of awakening, and that's why it's this diamond surrounded by red representing the root chakra, right? This new root chakra is connected also with your crown, and that's also why there's a crown light up there on the top of that middle being. And I'll get to more of that in a minute. But this new root, it's not about reaction anymore. It's about responding. How do we respond? And it's incorporating all of those things that I talked about. And slowly, right? Because it might seem very overwhelming at first. Maybe your body is way out of whack, out of balance, right? No judgment, but it's talking to you. It's showing you where your imbalances are. So you have to focus on your body, or you need to sleep or whatever. It's just slowing down and listening. And then you start looking at your mind. And then you might start looking at your feelings. All of these other things are connected, right? So it's like I'm trying to break down this linear process, not linear, right? I'm going to have thoughts and feelings and a physical experience all at the same time. But the brain is a tool. And if you slowed it down and started recognizing, becoming aware of these things, that's when you learn how to respond. Who do you want to be? Who do we choose to be? But this is after you've learned to love yourself in a greater way. It's creating safety. This red diamond on the bottom of this is like really this new reality where all your needs are met and anything is possible. And it's a part of this grand design. That's part of the reason why there is sacred geometry in this painting. As you can see here in the background, it's like It's part of a bigger design. This process, even this, all these things that I'm talking about, because once we get in alignment with ourselves and our being, and we can bring in more light and more awareness, changes the planet, but it changes the universe. You can see here down below too, there's like mountains, right? There's kind of some green mountain shapes kind of here on the bottom. That's what they were kind of meant to do. And it's green, so it's the heart, which is learning to love yourself. That is the base and the premise of this whole thing. And in the center, you have the sun that's rising, that's in the center. And this is also power, not power. I mean, we also have to prepare that word in our culture. And then on this planet, power usually meant domination. But if we can interchange the words power with love, self love, that's power. When you're in the presence of somebody who loves themselves, they change you, they move you. It's extremely powerful. Love is like one of the most powerful forces in the universe. So, in this way, it's showing you like it's almost like a map. And this being, in the center being, if you can kind of see it, this being is in a meditation pose, right? With their legs crossed and their hands out open. So they're open to the possibility. And with true intention, they're trying to connect with themselves. The center, the sun that you see that's surrounding the mountains, you can see the mouse where I'm moving it, is also the heart, right? So it's also like reminding us that our heart, it is like between the heart and this in the solar plexus, but it truly is about heart centered. This new wave is about being heart centered. And by giving yourself this love, it really will create more compassion for others that might not understand love as much as you do. Or maybe you don't understand it as well either. I don't know. So you have this being right in the center that's kind of in this lotus, not lotus position, but maybe, yeah, it's kind of sitting lotus. Um, and you have this female person on the left and you have this male person on the right. And as much as they're about individuals, it really represents the divine feminine and the divine masculine within each of us. It's not about gender, it's not even about race. And in this way, this is also about this great wave, recognizing that it isn't about gender, right? So shifting even those biases that we have there, even with race, but knowing that the divine masculine is meant to support the divine feminine, which has the knowing, right? Not saying men don't know, because men have the divine feminine within them too, right? Has nothing to do with that. We all have these parts. We all have the ability to do and to receive. So it's about learning to fulfill our own needs. And then with that love and that communion, we can actually have that outside of ourselves. There's nobody that needs to fulfill us, right? We don't need a man to do these things, or we don't need a woman to do these things. We are fulfilled. And this doesn't even have anything to do with sexuality. And I feel like people that are more homosexual, because I feel like sexuality is like a spectrum, that experience homosexuality, meaning, they have love and they love people of the same sex. I feel like they have an understanding of gender better than heterosexuals. And this could be my own bias, right? But in a way, um, they really see, I have a lot of friends, they really see that it's really about the person within. You're relying on each other's strengths, not on each other's gender. right? And the gender roles and the limits of these gender roles that we put and we instill, right? In those boxes, right? Those boxes really infringe on our own rhythm sometimes, or even who we are. Because maybe you're not naturally the nurturer, but your husband is. But you're like, well, I'm supposed to be. No, you're supposed to be whoever you are, right? So it's really identifying, fulfilling our own needs. And again, breaking down any boxes that kind of limit who you are. That's why they're here. And they're expressions of us. So really knowing that you have the full support of everybody, and also represents humanity, right? You have the full support of humanity in the universe. They're on your shoulders. They're with you. They're supporting you. They're behind you. So it's multiple meanings. It also represents beings from other planets, you know, beings of a higher consciousness that we don't always see because they're in such a higher vibration. And I know that even has such a negative connotation, like an alien, and there's just so much more going on than we even realize. And it's exciting, right? It's so exciting. And in this way, that's the reflective of this helmet again. Those are beings. It's not only a reflection of our outside world, but as you master this, we'll begin understanding and communicating with these other beings more and more and more. On the right, there is a constellation. It is Orion's belt, part of it anyways. And kind of in reference to cultures, ancient cultures, feeling that that's where we came from, right? Like that's where our ancestors, our otherworldly ancestors came from. And even how they're helping, and this connection is helping, and this it's really helping shift the planet just in seeing, and you can see stars below the diamond, right? So you see stars above, then you see stars below, and it really is that as above, so below concept. As within, as without. Kind of what's in is out. That's above and below to me. Because if everything's a circle, what's up and what's down, right? I know it's trippy. These are really different kinds of concepts. But it's all meant for you to explore yourself. And wherever there's fear, that's not love. Wherever there's comparison, that's not love. Right? If you're blaming, that's not love. Those are all like little hints. And love is love. And we all know what that is. And that is interesting, right? What is love really? So this new wave, this new awakening is experiencing this love in a big way. And in that way, by doing so, we're experiencing ourselves, and it's allowing ourselves to be who we are with no limitations. Because no one gets to say but us. We get to say. You get to say for you. So I hope you loved this painting. I feel like I captured everything. I spoke on everything that I wanted to. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Everything's always expanding and changing. So even if I was to explain this painting tomorrow, I would probably have different things to say. So, but I really enjoyed this one. It just kind of embodies everything that I want to share. So sit with it. Sit with this painting. It does connect you to things beyond our understanding and the unknown. Remember, we started with the unknown, the 5 circles, holding the unknown. So just being open to the possibility that we don't fully understand, and just being open to the possibility of whatever it might be. And here is an interpretation of what might be. Until next time, I will be sending you love. Take care.